we made a good start on today. Before that, yesterday, as I'm sure, as you have reported, I went to the Department of Agriculture so that I could also get a good idea of exactly what needs to be done. Because as I have stated so many times, the question, the problems in the agricultural sector are primary to all that we are hoping to do. We cannot do many of the things unless we can see that the agricultural sector has strengthened. Food supply is such an important part. It is an existential part of our work. And so that is something that we have to be very, very careful with and attend to properly. As has been reported, essentially what we spoke about were the concerns that we have immediately, the immediate concerns that we are facing I'm talking about 6 months, the next 6 months, the next 2-3 quarters. Yun ang aming pinag-uusapan na pag sinabi naming immediate. And that, of course, when I was in the Department of Agriculture, that was mostly concerned with the food supply in the next 2 quarters. I'm sure you are all aware of what's happening around the world. You have all seen the effects of the increasing food prices to all consumers everywhere. And this is what we are anticipating could happen if we are not well prepared. Many of the elements and many of the variables that have caused this food price crisis. There is enough food, but the price is too high. The food price crisis, many of the elements, if not all, have been variables over which we have no control. But nonetheless, we still have to feed our people. And so we still have to find strategies to make sure that those who are in need are supported by the government as best as we can do. So that is this. And then there is, of course, the long term in the Department of Agriculture, where I talked about rebuilding the value chain from the research and development all the way to the retail. Which is something I think I've been talking about ad nauseum already. I don't know if you need for me to explain it all again, but it really is just to ensure food supply in the Philippines at a price that is actually affordable. Because we always have to remember, it's all very well having food supply, but if no one can afford it, it's still not hindi pa rin tayo nakatulong sa taong bayan. So those are the things that we discussed. In the cabinet meeting today, parang ganun din eh. We talked about immediate concerns, and then we had to talk about long-term concerns. Because that is, we're trying as we attend to immediate concerns, we are also trying to streamline the government so its function is better, its function is much more efficient and easier for the public as they have to do business, whatever business they have with the government, that it is easier and simpler and safer and more secure to do. So these are the different things that, of course, we spoke to it in much greater detail. And I think we will, as I said, I think that I want to make sure that every department, every agency has already the plan in mind para coordinated naman ang ating cabinet, the secretaries with each other. So that's the general gist of yesterday's my attendance yesterday in the Department of Agriculture and the cabinet meeting that we had earlier today. So I think I will now open the floor to a few questions.
Questions for Ms. Maricel Halili.
Hi, sir.
Sir, magandang hapon po. Sir,
Good afternoon.
may we know kung ano po yung most important marching order ninyo to all the cabinet secretaries following the first cabinet meeting earlier?
Oh, you cannot, I don't think we can say one. I think essentially is we got into much more detail, so there are no generalizations anymore. Kasi we've been talking anyway for 2 months. Matagal na namin pinag-usapan yung mga general concepts and general principles. So ang pinag-uusapan talaga namin is already what we are going to do, when we are going to do it, how we are going to do it, etc., etc., etc. So each department has a very different, got very different instructions. The only thing that we have to that it looks like is how that we have to realize how interconnected all the government is. That everything that's done on one hand affects the government in another place, sometimes not to its advantage. So we have to be careful about doing all of that properly. So there isn't one single one. I suppose if there's one single one, is let's get our bureaucracy streamlined. I gave them. I said I will not. I give you a relatively free hand in deciding who you want to hire and how you want to change the structure of your department. If indeed that's what you want to do, but do it soon, because we have work to do and we have to get to work immediately. I think there are some easy, not naman easy, but there are some things that are immediately accessible in the sense that we can start doing something about it already. The first thing that is an example of that was Inday Sara's announcement that we have a plan for full face-to-face by November of this year. September, we will start a phased face-to-face schooling. And that face-to-face will end up in early November as already 100% attendance ng mga bata. Kasama dyan, we have to talk about also vaccination, etc., because there are going to be some issues that will be raised. So, as usual, I guess if I'm going to single out one instruction, that quickly, let's get this done quickly. As usual, we're nagmamadali. Of course, we're careful, but we're always in a hurry because we have to get much done in very little time.
Sir, on other issue, are you going to have a meeting, sir, with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi? And if you're going to meet with him, what will be the agenda? What will be the talking points, sir?
Well, the usual agenda yes, I will meet with him. And the agenda, I am sure, will be to strengthen ties between China and the Philippines. And, of course, to find ways to work to resolve the conflicts that we have. And one of the ways that I have consistently suggested is that we have our relationship not only on one dimension, yun lang West Philippine Sea. Let's add to that. Let's have the cultural exchanges, educational exchanges, even military, if that will be useful. Of course, the GTG has always been there. The private sector joint ventures have also been there. But I think that the more we do of that, the more it will help resolve the issues. I will also mention that it's an important player, an important actor in all of this in the region, in terms of the regional geopolitics, will be ASEAN and even APEC, because they have an interest. They are stakeholders in this. So I think we can say that we need for those for ASEAN especially to be active for their member countries. So it's essentially always trying to find ways to improve relationships. And we have many proposals to them, in the sense that, as I said, we would like for us to increase the scope Wag lang yung West Philippines yung pinag-uusapan ng China at saka Pilipinas. Let's do other things too. And that way it will normalize our relationship.
Sir, sorry, last na lang po on my part. When will be the meeting, sir?
When will be?
The meeting.
I'm not sure. When is he scheduled to? Wala pang schedule yata eh.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's keep it down to one question each para makarami tayo. Mr. Neil Mercado, Inquirer.net. If you're not here, the question was, inflation rate soared to 6.1%, the highest since October 2018. Does the President have any concrete plan to address this? Paano matutulungan ng mga Pilipino umaaray na sa taas ng presyo ng bilihin?
Yes.